All right, welcome back to part 2 of the Module 5 project for Excel. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy this worksheet to another sheet. So we're going to click on Add a Sheet to start with. So we've got sheet, well, it'll say Sheet 2. I actually accidentally added one and deleted again. So I'm going to come over back to Sheet 1. I'm going to come up to this top corner, bring my plus sign way up to the top corner and click that to select everything. So I'm going to click on, it's basically a select all function. And then I'm going to copy. I'm going to navigate over to this sheet that I've just created. And then in cell A1, I'm going to say, click on my enter key right on the keyboard, and it's going to paste that entire sheet into this new sheet. All right, if we would have selected this and said, copy and then paste it, it would not have maintained all the formatting. It would have kept the columns, the default width, and then the rows, the default height, and we would have had to do all that formatting all over again. So this way we're maintaining the integrity of the formatting that we've created. All right. Okay, so that's that first one. Okay, now it says we're also going to copy it using the Sheet tab. So come over to the Sheet tab 1, right click, and then select Move or Copy. And then here, we're going to tell it we want to copy this sheet right here. We're going to move it to the end, but we want to create a copy. So make sure you say Create Copy. Move to end, and then OK. So now you can see on Sheet 1, we've got this. Sheet 2 or Sheet 3, we've got this one. And then you can see it brought our default error back in here. And then our new Sheet 1 second version, we've got it as well. So we've got 3 copies of this specific sheet. All right. But there's also one more way that we can copy this, and that's using the Control key. So again, I'm going to click on select Sheet 1 to select it. I'm going to hit the Control key and then drag. So then I'm going to select Sheet 1 again and then drag it over to the end. I've got that little down pointing arrow after Sheet 1, 2, and then release. And then now you can see I've got Sheet 1, the third version of it. So again, we've got 3 copies of this same sheet. And again, there's that same silly error. I'm going to ignore it because I don't like those. All right. So now we're going to do what's called drilling entry. So if you're following along with the book, it's on page 27. It says to drill an entry. So the next step is to replace the sample data that we've entered. So the sample data is 2020, 2021, all that the 2020 data is what we're going to fill with real data, and then it's going to populate those projections. All right. And so it says the percentage changes are identical on all 4 sheets. For example, the 2021 percentage change for payroll will be changed to 2.5 on all 4 sheets. All right. So in order to do this, what we're going to do is we are going to select all of the sheets at the same time. So, and this is such an amazing feature, and it makes things so easy. And again, so we've got this default kind of template sheet created. We've copied it for 4 different locations. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create some, verisimilitude to make this worksheet work for our organization. So this is in the bottom of page 27. If you're following along, we're going to right click Sheet 1, and then we're going to select all sheets. So now you can see all of the sheets. And again, I'm going to click away from this. So again, the active sheet is going to be white, kind of white with the green underline. I'm going to right click and say select all sheets. Now they're all white and it's all underlined with green. So this means that they're all selected together. So now when we make a change to one, it's going to change all of them in the same cell. And so this is such an amazing feature. When we're done with this, you're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't realize you could do this cool stuff. But that's what we're going to do. So we're going to enter cell C5. This is our payroll, our projected changes for payroll. And we're going to type 2.5. And then hit our arrow down. So now we've changed our, from the 3% that it was, or 3.1, we're changing it to 2.5. All right. And then we are going to continue on down. So it says enter the 15 remaining 2021, 2022 values under table 5-6. And so if we look on page, is it 29? Or where did it go? Okay, no, sorry, it's on page 27, directly above where we started doing that work. So in payroll, in C5, we changed it to 2.5%. In benefits, 2%, so just 2. Hit your down arrow. Fuel is 2, down arrow. Then 1, down arrow. 1, down arrow. Our maintenance is going to be 1. Hit the down arrow. And now here, you're going to see something a little bit different, because this is going to be a negative percentage. And remember what we did with our negative values. We changed them to the magenta. I think that's what we did for this one. So now we're going to hit net -1 and then the down arrow. And then again, you'll see it's changed it to that kind of pinkish red color, that magenta. A little fun fact, when I was a junior in high school, we performed Once Upon a Mattress, a musical. I did a theater when I was in high school. And our t-shirts, or our sweatshirts and t-shirts for the show that we wore, on the days that we performed, so we'd have some kind of unity, they were this color. That was the color of our sweatshirts, was that magenta. All right, let's go back. All right, administration in C12, that one is going to be a -2%. All right, so let's navigate back over to cell E5 under payroll. And then again, I will just call out the numbers as I enter them. So 2.5, down, 3, down, 3, down, 1, down, 1, down. Now we're in maintenance. Maintenance is going to be 2. Advertising, -1 again. And then finally, administrative is going to be a -2.25. All right, so those are the numbers that we're going to be using. And now, so if you're following along on a smaller device, I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see what those numbers are. So we've got that data entry, that data entered. All right, so now these are the actual percentages, or the actual numbers that we're going to be working with for our worksheets when we start building them. I'm going to right click where it says sheet 1, and then right at the bottom it says ungroup. I'm going to ungroup. Right, so now I've only got one of them selected. But if we click on sheet 2 or sheet 3 or whatever, if you look at those other sheets, you'll notice that all of the data, those percentage changes, are going to be the same for all of them, which I just think is so stinking cool. All right, so now we're selecting and deselecting. So now we're going to modify some of these worksheets. So we're going to click where it says the second one in. So mine says sheet 3, yours might say sheet 2. I'm going to double click on that one. And then I'm going to type Lady Lobster. Come on. All right, so I can't, for some reason, I can't do it. It might be because I'm recording. So I'm going to right click on it and then rename it and call it Lady Lobster. All right, then for the sheet 1, 2, the next one over, oopsie, let's give it our coloring. We're also going to give it a different color. So right click, tab color, and this one we are going to apply tan accent 4. So tan accent 4 is the color for Lady Lobster. All right, so then we're going to click on cell A2, and then we're going to double click on the word consolidated and change this to Lady Lobster. So now it's the Lady Lobster expense worksheet. And then we're going to select the range A1 and A2, and we're going to apply that fill color. So let's go to fill, and we're going to do this tan accent 4 to the fill. All right, and then the font color, we're going to change to automatic black. So the font is going to be that automatic black. All right, so the tab we changed to that tan color, and the fill up here we changed to that tan color. And then you're going to notice the pattern that we're going to do creating with all these different worksheets. All right, so now let's go ahead and enter the data into these cells. So in cell B5, the payroll for the lobster place. And again, I've got this a little bit bigger so you can see it. So the B5, the value is going to be 79,207.20. All right. In benefits, 15,247.39. Fuel charges in cell B7, 20,000 even. In cell B8, storage, 14,400. In cell B9 for event fees, 6,200, so 6,200. Maintenance is 4295.20, so $4,295.20. Advertising in cell B11 is 3599.64. And then finally, administrative costs are $2,500. All right. So our total at the bottom is going to be $145,449.43 is our 2020 budget. And then our projected change coming out are all right there. All right. Okay. So now we're going to deselect that. So I like to always end on cell A1. So I'm just going to click on cell A1. Now let's come over to sheet 1-2 or 1-2. You can either double click on it or right click rename. This one we're calling Henry Haddock. Henry Haddock, and then press enter. We're going to change the tab color for this one is going to be teal accent 2. So teal accent 2. All right, and then let's click up into cell A2, double click on the word consolidated to select it, and then type in Henry Haddock. And then again, we're going to select cells A1 and A2. We're going to apply that fill color of teal accent 2. And then the font color is going to be that automatic as well. All right, so here, the data we're going to enter for payroll is 72,870.62. So 72870.62. The benefits, $14,027.60. So 14,027.6. Oh, sorry, 0.62. My bad, 62. Enter. No, sorry, it was 60. My bad again. I was looking at the wrong cell. 0.60. Fuel is 19,000 even. Storage, 13,248. Event fees, 7,500. B10 as our maintenance, 3951.58. Advertising is 3311.67. And our administrative costs again are 2500. And so this one we should have that 136,409.47, just to make sure you've got that data correct. All right, again, I'm going to come up here to select A1. I'm going to save my progress. Now finally, the sheet number 1-3, either right-click rename or double-click on it. And this one is going to be Sharon Shrimp. So Sharon Shrimp, and then Sharon Shrimp, enter. We're going to change her tab color to orange in the standard colors. So right down here, orange in the standard colors. Select A2 where it says consolidated, double click on the word consolidated. We're changing this to Sharon Shrimp. And then we're going to select cell A1 and A2. We're going to change this to the fill color to that orange. So again, fill color, orange, and then the black automatic text color. All right. Okay, and now finally the data for Sharon Shrimp in cell B5 for payroll, 68,712.06. So 68712.06. The benefits, 17,077.07. Fuel costs are 18,500. Storage, 12,528 even. The event fees for Sharon Shrimp are $5,000. 4810.62 are the maintenance fees. For advertising, they spend $4031.60. And then finally, administrative costs, again, $2,500. Now, what we could have done is when we had that data, we could have entered $2,500 as the kind of the static administrative cost, since everything's got that same cost, but it didn't ask us to do that. So here we've got 133, 159.35 is what it should be. I'm off by 30 cents. So I'm just going to take a look of where I made my mistake. So 07, 06, 07, 0000, 00. Oh, right in the, sorry, in cell B10, it should have been 4810.62. I think I said that, but I typed 32. So 4810.62. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and save my progress now that I've got all this stuff done. All right, so continuing on, we're going to do this is another really cool feature. We're going to be referencing across worksheets. So you notice we've got 3 different sites, the Lady Lobster, Henry Haddock, and Sharon Shrimp. And then we've got our enterprise worksheet, right? The Consolidated Expenses worksheet. And so for here, this is where we're going to create our values across this whole network. All right, so again, this is going to be a really, really cool function. All right, so now if you're following along, we're on page 32. It says modifying the consolidated worksheet. So, double click on cell or on sheet 1 label, and we're going to change this to consolidated. Consolidated, okay. All right, and then this sheet tab, we've got this blue-gray color up here. We're going to hit enter, and then the same thing. We're going to apply the tab color, blue gray accent 1, to kind of correspond to this fill color we added up here. All right, now we're in cell, that first one, that consolidated. We're going to click on cell B5. All right, so we've got cell B5 selected. Now we're going to click on the auto sum button to display the sum function. So we're going to say sum. Okay, so now what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click the Lady Lobster sheet. And then we're going to click in cell B5. So now you'll see it says equals sum Lady Lobster, and that's in the, not the quotation marks, but the little open and closed apostrophes. So it's telling us the Lady Lobster is a sheet name, and then the exclamation point B5 is telling us that it's going to be cell B5 of that Lady Lobster sheet. All right, now we're going to hold Shift and click on Sharon Shrimp. Now you'll see now it changes to the sum. Again, this colon indicates the sequence. So Lady Lobster through Sharon Shrimp, looking at the reference for cell B5. All right, so we've got that. And now press enter and prepare to be amazed. Look at that. So now you can see this took the values of Lady Lobster, 79,000, plus Henry Haddock, which was 72,000. So that's what, 151,000, plus Sharon Shrimp, another 68,000, which roughly totals up to 220,000. That's exactly what that number is. That is so cool. Right, so this is called a 3D reference. So it's referencing across worksheets, which I think is just the coolest darn thing. All right, and then now the same thing. We've got this B5. Let's go ahead and fill this down and Shazam. Now we've just done the same thing. So we've copied that same formula with our relative cell reference. So the benefits is looking at, and again, this works only because we've got the same exact sheet in each one. And so all of the values correspond with one another. So that was the important thing about using this initial template to create these other ones. So we've got some uniformity. It doesn't work if you don't have that uniformity. All right. So I think that is about the coolest thing ever. Okay, so now we've got that 3D reference kind of created. Let's go ahead and save our work, especially if your name is Shannon, who's always worried about losing stuff. Save the work. And now we're going to format some pie charts. So first we got to create the pie chart. So we're going to select the range in our consolidated worksheet, A5 through B12. So let's go A5 through B12. So these are the 2020 expenses by category. We're going to click on the 3D pie chart. So let's go ahead to our insert, and then in our little pie chart, we want 3D. Okay, so the title we're going to change to 2020 Consolidated Expenses. All right, and then deselect the chart title. Now we're going to apply the style 9 chart style. So let's look over here. We want style 9. I'm assuming it's one of the last ones, so right there. And those little values are kind of all squishy next to each other, so I don't like that. We're going to have to fix that a little bit later. So we're going to click in an empty cell or click outside of that. All right, now we're going to move this chart on the same worksheet. So we're going to just highlight or hover over the border of that chart to get the pie chart to get your little 4-way pointing arrow. All right, and now we're going to move this to cell A15. Again, so we're just going to grab it, bring it down, and put it in the top left corner is going to be in cell A15. All right, and then we're going to lower the bottom right. So click on that little bottom right sizing handle, and the bottom right is going to be in cell F32. So somewhere like that. So then that kind of moves those numbers out a little bit. All right. So now we can see that chart. I'm going to do a little quick save here. So now we're going to focus on a specific piece of the pie. So we're going to look at the fuel charges. So click on the chart once. You'll see we've got all these little blue dots around it. That means we're selecting every piece. One more time, if we click now, we only are focusing on this one specific piece. So that's the one we want to focus on, that little 14% fuel. All right, let's right click on it and then format the data point. Now here, we're going to explode that pie. So we're going to change the point explosion of the pie to 15%. So you can either type in 15 there or just explode it by 15%. And now we also want to bring this little pie piece around, so it's going to kind of be front and center over here. So to do that, we have to change the angle of the first slice. So right now, the first slice is at a 0%. We want to change the angle of the first slice to 250% because we want to bring it almost all the way around so that pie, the exploded pie, is right in the front. And again, this isn't our first slice. Payroll is going to be that first slice. So the 53%, that was going to be slice 1. That was, straight up and down. This is rotating at 250%. All right. So now we've got this is at about 250. So that brings this one to the forefront. All right. So now let's go ahead and do a quick save here again. So now we're going to format our data labels. So we're going to click on, we can close this Format Data Point dialog box that opens. And then let's go ahead and click on our chart elements. And then here we are going to go to our data labels. So click on that little arrow pointing to the right. And then we are going to select more options. And then it's going to open up the Format Data Labels box over here. All right. So in here, we're looking at what we want to be displayed. So now we are going to say that we want check marks in the category name, not value, but we want, oopsie, let me undo this for a second. Make sure we don't have just the one piece of pie selected. Make sure we've got the whole thing selected. All right, now let's go back to our data labels. More options. Now here we go with our number. All right, let me do this one more time. All right, so select that. Choose our data labels. More options. There we go. We want the category name and the percentage to be selected. And we want to show leader lines. All right, now if there's anything else open, like before you saw the series name or something was open in mine, deselect them. So only category name, percentage, and leader lines should be displayed. Okay. All right, and then where it says label position, we would like to select outside end because we want that text to show up out here. Now you'll notice that we have no text in here because it was white text on a white background. So now we're going to choose our text options button. So we're going to choose, instead of label options, we're going to say text options. And then we're going to choose our text fill. And then here we want the solid fill and we want the black text 1. And there we go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and close this. So now you see we've kind of got, I'm going to expand this a little bit. We've got this kind of laid out all over around on top of each other. So you can just deselect that and then just as necessary, click on one of them at a time and just kind of drag it out. And then you'll notice since we added to show the leader line, it's going to bring that little line out with it. So it doesn't make a difference where you pull it, but just pull it out a little bit so they're not all overlapping one another. So event fees, I'm going to pull this one down over here a little bit. Maintenance, we're going to bring that one out. Fuel is okay. Benefits, that one's okay. But if you want to see the leader line, I mean, you notice the fuel. And I would just make sure that when you have the leader lines, if the text is too close to the pie, you won't see the leader lines. So you're going to have to pull them all away just a little bit because we definitely want to have that uniformity of displaying those leader lines. All right, so we've got those leader lines displayed on all of them, so all of the text is visible. Now let's go ahead and add a chart border. So make sure that we've got the chart selected, and then in our Chart Tools Format tab, we are going to change our shape outline to blue-gray, accent 1, and that applies that blue-gray border around it. All right. And then now we can look at printing. So to print multiple worksheets. So let's go ahead and do save this. And again, I'll zoom back in a little bit so we can see that's my worksheet with the data right above it. So we're going to right click again on Consolidated. We're going to select all sheets. So all of them are selected again. And then on our page layout tab, our page setup group, we're going to choose where did it go? That little launcher. All right. So we've got our page. So let's go to our page tab. So it should be showing by default. And then we're going to click on margins. And we're going to change it to 0.5 in, oopsie, 0.5 left and right. Oh, first of all, changing it to landscape. And then changing it to 0.5 left and right. All right, so we've got 0.5 left and right. We're going to horizontally center it on the page. And then OK. All right, so now it's thinking. And then we're also going to add a header. So we've got all of our worksheets are still selected. All right, now let's go to our page layout view. Okay, and then in our page layout, I'm going to make sure I fix that one. So in page layout, we want to add the sheet name. So they're all still selected. We're going to scroll up to the header and then type your name in that center header section, or the left header section. We're going to type your name. It says type Shelly Cashman, but just type your name instead. And then in the center header, we're going to say expense worksheet. And then in the right header box, we are going to include the current date. So right up here where it says current date, current time, we're going to say current date. All right, and then in the footer, scroll down to the footer section. Oopsie, there we go. All right, we're going to click the middle footer. And then here we're going to enter, oopsie, let's go back to my header and footer. And here we're going to enter the sheet name tab. All right, and then hit space, and then we're going to type the word page, and then space, and then here we're going to click the page number. All right, oopsie. Sorry about that, I hit the wrong button. Okay, so we're going to click away from that, and then you can see consolidated page 1 is showing there. So let's go back to normal. All right, I'm going to take this, I'm going to select this. Oopsie, I'm going to deselect my sheet for a second, and I need to select my chart and bring it up just a little bit so it's showing on one page. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to link them back together again. So I'm just going to shift and then I'm going to right click. All right. And then go up to my File tab and then Print. And then here you'll see I've got 4 sheets. I'm going to close this little WebEx meeting invitation because that's coming up shortly. And then here you'll see I can scroll through. All of them are there. All right. I'm going to cancel this because I don't need to print it. Let's do a quick save. All right. Now we're going to create separate files from worksheets. So you notice we've got 4 different worksheets here. So we want to create separate files for each one of these. So I'm going to right click on the Lady Lobster. Come on. All right. All right. So I'm going to right click on the Lady Lobster and then move or copy. And then I'm going to click to book where it says the down pointing arrow, new book. I'm going to say new book and then create copy. And then OK. And now you'll see that I've got my new worksheet. It's only got 1 sheet on it. And then this one, I'm going to do a file, save as, and I'm going to call this one, I'm going to save it into my Module 5 assignments. And here I'm going to call it that SC_EX_5_ Lady Lobster. And then save it. All right. And then I'm going to do the same steps through the other ones. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to minimize this one. I'm going to right click on Henry Haddock, move or copy, create a copy in a new book. OK. And then the same thing this time. We're going to do a file, save as, and then here again, Module 5, SC_EX_5_ Henry Haddock. And then enter. And then right click on Sharon Shrimp, move or copy, create a copy to a new book. OK. And then this one, file, save as, Module 5, and then we're naming this one SC_EX_5_ Sharon Shrimp. Enter. All right, so we're going to close each workbook except the consolidated one. So I'm going to minimize that for a second. Whoopsie. I'm going to close Henry Haddock. And I'm going to close Lady Lobster. Come on. All right, so it's not letting me close that for a moment because they are It's open. It's open in the window with the. All right. So here we go. Sorry. So we're back to this one. Okay. Now it says the next step is moving our linked workbooks. Okay. So in this one, let me pause this for just a second.